many people have seen my first one? Clap it up if you... Yes! This whole area. Listen, we're going to have to clear this up right away. I know you're confused that they introduced the Jose. And I look like this. I get it. I did a show once. There was an older lady. Maybe her hearing was out. And she goes, "That's the whitest Jose I've ever seen." It's okay. If you think that, I've gotten it everywhere. I did a show once in a small town in Kentucky. I can't say the name of the town because the family will know I'm talking about them. There was one Hispanic family in this town. They owned a restaurant. They closed the restaurant, came to my show. All of them. Finally, a Latino comedian has come to my little town. What is that guy? Is he like a vampire Latino? Is this Twilight on Telemundo? What are we watching? So, that is my name, Jose. I was born in Cuba, raised in Miami. Where are my Cubanos at? One Cubano. That's enough to have plenty of safety at a pool for everybody. So that's good. 2 Cubanos. That's a wave pool right there. It is a Cuban name. My last name is Sarduy, and that does not help. Nobody... I was at a show, and this lady yelled out, "Sarduy, that sounds like a sandwich." And I was messing around. I was like, "It can be. You got a friend?" Yeah. Little Sarduy. She didn't get it. She's like, "Is it a good sandwich?" I'm like, "It's not bad." It is good to be back, everybody. Good to be back. It's been a weird couple years since I did my last one, right? 2 years of wearing masks, I learned a lot. I learned that superhero movies are more fake than we even thought. Because in a superhero movie, the real thing never happens. Spider-Man doesn't say something really funny or quirky, and the villain never goes, "What?" That would be realistic. It's weird. You learn a lot about a person by how they wore one of these. You guys remember these people? Yeah, some of you are those people. And I know you're like, "I don't want to breathe my own air," but when I see that, I'm always like, that person has bad breath and is finally aware. I remember when we first started going back to restaurants, we had to have the mask up, then we pull it down and eat, whatever. Some people wanted to be able to put it right back up. Couple techniques for that. You could do this one right here, which if you have a black mask, looks like you went, and the Amish. That's a good look. This is my favorite, the fighter pilot, right here. He's on my 6th. And then this doesn't happen in Provo, but everywhere else, drunk people. What's up? I can just eat all day. 6 months of isolation, that's the only joke I wrote. But it's good to be back on the road, and I get to travel now because I've gotten to that stage in my career. I can travel by airplane. Very safe, because I used to drive everywhere, and that was very dangerous because I drive a car that makes people angry. Anybody guess what I drive? Toyota Prius, that is correct. That is the car. That car makes people angry in different ways. I don't understand it. All I know is nobody on the highway likes to get passed by a Prius. People start... I passed an older lady in a Cadillac. She's like, "I love Jesus." "Oh, no, sir." Turned into a drag race. Gets weird reactions. I was at a red light. This muscle car pulled up. He looked at me. He was like, "Brum, brum." Are you serious? You want to hear my engine, sir? Let me turn down NPR. Do you want to hear my engine? Get ready for this, baby. Bring, ding, 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 ding. It's a small world after. I drive a car that shoots flowers out the back. I'm not racing anybody. I know it's not a tough car because I've hit many animals with it. And they are all okay. I hit a deer down in West Texas. I heard it go, what was that? Something bit me, baby. Something bit me. Why am I covered in flowers? I actually did a corporate show for Toyota, and they found out I just bought a new Prius, but my Prius that I bought in 2007 had died in 2015 at 389,941 miles. Yeah. Drove it back from Japan. And so they after the show, they were like, that's awesome with the car. Do you want to do a commercial for the Toyota company for like the Prius? I was like, I'd love to. And they're like, could you be nicer to the car? In the commercial? I was like, could you fix some stuff on the car? They're like, what's wrong with the Prius? Like, well, I don't know, off the top of my head, could you toughen up the horn just a little bit? Anyone ever try to use a Prius horn in here? Ha! Ha! It's like a happy dolphin. I can't use that in traffic. I was behind a guy at a red light. He was on his phone. The light turned green. I went, ha! He looked up. He goes, no, we're not going on that. It's worse when you hold it down like, hey! Someone is killing a banshee over there. I had this like vision, right, of going A-team on the car and put like a train horn on top and some fog lights. So at least at night, I come behind you like, you get out of the way. There's a dragon behind me. And then I drive by. I love science. Perfect. When I bought the Prius, I lived in Texas, and so I had Texas plates on it. So I drove around the country in a Prius with Texas plates, and that confused everybody. And I was thinking of ways to keep confusing them even more. I thought, like, I could put a gun rack on this thing, but they don't make them that small, so it just looks like I stole like a fin off a bigger car. But it is good to be here. My family is very funny. I think I got it from them. My mom does things that are very entertaining. I don't know if they're on purpose. Because she went down to South America to visit my stepfather's family. They gave her a gift down there of a live baby turtle, and she brought it back illegally. Like she snuck it on the airplane. In the only place she thought would be reasonable to hide a baby turtle in her bra. We named it Nipsey. For the dry bar executives, Nipsey was a name. Nipsey Russell is a comedian. You can use that. It's totally illegal. I asked my mom this. I asked her a why question. I haven't done that since. Because, Mom, why didn't you just report, why did you hide it in your bra? She's like, at least I don't hide it in my panties. Now I got that mental image twice a month. Wake up in a cold sweat imagining Ninja Turtles fighting their way out of the waistband. Cowabunga, it's hot in here. For those that didn't see the previous special also, my family's a very interesting story. We came from Cuba because my dad was a political prisoner. My dad actually protested the government in Cuba by writing a letter telling Castro, I don't like how you're doing your border policy. And they put him in jail for 6 years. He was released in February of 1977. And I was born in April of 1977. So I'm either a miracle baby or I was made in prison. Conjugal visit baby. I don't know, any other conjis? Where my conjis at? Just Cuban? No? Just that she's like, no, I'm with you with the pool thing, but no, that's... Cool thing is, I lived in Texas for a long time, so I would drive by prisons all the time, like I should call my dad. So it was pretty good. That's pretty good. When my family got taken in here, for those that watch the special, my dad has a phrase that he says when he's very happy. He says, that's what I'm talking about. Right? He misquoted a movie, and now, that's what I'm talking about. And he stopped doing it. He came to a show once And he saw it. And after the show, people ask him, oh, you're his dad. Can you say, that's what I'm talking about? He's like, no, he stole that from me. He put it on t-shirts. He make money. He don't give me any of that money. I never say it again. And then he found out people were willing to give him $1 and go, that's what I'm talking about. He made like $100 that night. Good capitalists. But I love that phrase. I say it when I'm happy. Something good happens in your life. That's what I'm talking about. Like for me, I was at my buddy's house, had to go after him into the bathroom. He'd go number 2. It smelled awful. I went number 2, and the smell was gone. I pulled him in there. He's like, what'd you do? I'm like, I think we cancel each other out, bro. And I have been looking for a woman like that ever since. I don't know your criteria for soulmate, but I know mine. That's gonna be useful in a crowded elevator, like, oh no, baby, I got you. That's my lady, that's what I'm talking about. All right, that was a test joke. I wanna see how farty this crowd was. All right, let's see how this goes. You ever been in a hurry? You poop, you wipe, nothing there? That's what I'm talking about, what? Look at who's not laughing. That does not happen. Like, what kind of muffins are you guys eating? Married guys won't even pull their pants up in that scenario. Baby! See that? It cleans itself now. You can quit your complaining. I'm gonna put that back on the roll. We're gonna save some money this year. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of wives that are like, he would do that. He would do that. He is disgusting. So my parents got divorced when I was a kid, and my mom remarried my stepfather. I love my stepfather. Helped me become a man. I just think he's a little too humble. He's a quiet guy. So I went to the United States Air Force Academy. So I went to college. Thank you very much. So after basic training, and then like in the middle of the semester, they let your parents visit for Parents Weekend. First time my parents had come to visit me at the Air Force Academy. We're driving around. I'm like, hey, Dad, let's go look at the F-86. That's my favorite old-time fighter plane. He's been married to my mother for 10 years at this point. He goes, oh, yes, I flew that in the Venezuelan Air Force. What? You were a Venezuelan fighter pilot? He's like, yes. How was that? He goes, it was fun. Did you ever get shot at? Yes. How was that? It's scary. A little more information, Dad! So I have been in the Air Force a long time, and that's what I tell audiences, because I used to tell them I'm an Air Force pilot, which I am, and audiences didn't know what to do with that. They'd be like, they let the Cubans fly the plane? Shouldn't he be in the Coast Guard? You don't want Cubans in the Coast Guard. People are going to start talking like Mexicans in the Border Patrol. Just going to assume it's like, hey, stop right there. Oh, that's my cousin. Okay, welcome to America. Like, you know what I mean? I don't need that kind of pressure. I've been in the Air Force a long time. This year in June, it'll be 27 years since I joined. You know what I discovered? We are not considered the tough branch. I think it's because we don't have a cheer, right? Army's like, hoo-ah, Marines like, oorah, Air Force like, four. Like, we don't have a good cheer. It's hard to motivate a room full of Air Force. It's like 80% desk jobs. You're like, Air Force. They're like, paper cuts are real, bro. We don't even have an accurate song. The Air Force song says nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. That is not true. They need to add some words in there. Nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force unless the internet is down. And we're not as effective at that point. We had a tough guy. We had an Air Force tough guy. I was kind of proud of it. I don't know if you remember, they made a movie about it. There was a gunman on a train in Paris years back, and an Air Force airman tackled that gunman and saved a bunch of lives. Yeah, I was like, yes, baby, Air Force got our tough guy now. We got a tough guy. And then they showed him on TV with his shirt off. I'm like, you gotta work out, man. Come on, you're our first tough guy. You're all blah, 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 blah. Come on. I had to add a part to that joke because I was doing a show in Vegas, and 3 rows back, he stood up. I was like, ooh, you're bigger than TV. I just want to say, for the record, in case you're watching, he has amazing abs and eyes you can get lost in forever. He's really good with animals, and he walks on the beach, and he's sensitive but also strong. All right, so just had to add that part in. Please, don't beat me up. I'm a pilot, which a lot of people don't know much about because they immediately like, oh, you're a pilot like Tom Cruise in Top Gun? I was like, no, I'd be this little. I can't do that joke in Los Angeles because lawyers and stuff. Scientology may not be real, but their legal department is definitely real. No, I'm a cargo pilot. That's what the job I had. So if you ever see the movie Top Gun, there's a part when his boss is yelling at him. He goes, if you screw up just this much, I'll have you flying cargo planes full of rubber dog crap out of Hong Kong. And that's the part in the movie when I go, that's me! That's me, you guys! That's what I'm talking about! I'm in Top Gun, check it out! Because as a cargo pilot, your stories aren't the same. People, you got any cool war stories? I was like, well, you know, they're either embarrassing or weird. I'll give you an embarrassing one first. Scariest moment of the Iraq War, 2003. We're on the ground refueling my airplane, and we got hit by a mortar attack. Listen, in the air, I got training. I'm in the Air Force. On the ground, I am useless. Like that mortar went off, I couldn't put the clip in the gun, I had the Kevlar half off, I pooped a little bit. It was not a good day. I heard the mortar and I screamed like a child, like, fear! Ah! They found me and the co-pilot hiding behind a crate full of ammunition. So they're either embarrassing or they're weird. One time they told me I was supposed to carry 600 pounds of cages full of live chickens. I'm glad we didn't eventually have to do that, because a bunch of chickens in an enclosed space. I was born in Cuba. I'd have been in the back. Ladies and gentlemen! That's what I'm talking about! Who's flying the plane? Whatever, 2 to 1 on the red one, 2 to 1. We call this one Mike Tyson. He liked to bite. So, I told that story during a show, and an instructor of mine in simulators that flew during Vietnam saw the show, and he says, I got a joke. You can add this story to your story. Just don't use my name, okay? So Colonel Cooper was flying into Vietnam. Flying in Vietnam, they had cages of live chickens in the back. They get to this village where they're gonna land and do these like assault landings, and the runway's been bombed out, they can't land. And they can put parachutes on everything except cages of chickens. So they've got a problem. They get a meeting on the flight deck of the airplane, and the commander's like, what are we gonna do? I need ideas. What do we do with these chickens? We can't throw them out the back in the cages. We're going too fast. All the chickens will die. What do we do? Young 18-year-old airman loadmaster, first mission, goes, hey, chickens are birds, right? We just chuck them out one by one. How about that? And the way it works in the military, when you have a bright idea, you gotta go do that idea. So they're flying over this village of Vietnam. They got the cargo doors open on 3 airplanes in formation. And then, in what's gotta be the weirdest Air Force radio call of all time, they said, drop the chickens over Vietnam. They don't hear anything from the intercom in the back. Loadmaster, we get the chickens out. Loadmaster. Hey, can we get a report from the back? The door to the flight deck opens. In walks in this 18-year-old airman. Left arm is clawed up and bloody. He's got feathers on his shoulders. They go, what happened? He goes, that worked for the first chicken. And then the rest of them got real smart. I just imagine the chickens in the cages like, what's he doing with Maria? It's a Cuban chicken, obviously a Cuban chicken. What's he doing with Maria? I don't know. Oh, look, I think we're getting a tour of the back door. It's at the back. Kill this guy! I'll tell you the greatest lesson I learned being in the military all this time. I was flying into Thule, Greenland, years ago. It was back in 2004. We were taking supplies up there, and Thule, Greenland is in the Arctic Circle. Like the instrumentation goes bad, and it's on a glacier. The runway's white, the markings are red, so you're landing on an ice pack. And I land this 300,000-pound cargo plane, and I immediately ice everywhere. I'm losing control a little bit. I used every skill I had to land this airplane and not go in a ditch when we were taxiing. It was so icy when we let the walkway down, and our first crewman goes, okay, I'll go put the chocks in the whoop! Right on his back, and all of us are at the top of the ramp like, everybody be careful when you... It's very slippery. We all walked in like somebody needs a Zamboni this whole area. This is ridiculous. So I just landed in that, and I taxied in it, and another person just fell. I was feeling so big on myself, like my head had inflated, like, I just did that. I'm a pilot, baby. I walked in there, and the guy behind the counter goes, hey, who landed the plane that time? Everybody goes, the lieutenant did. And he goes, I've been working here 15 years. That's the best landing I've ever seen. I was like, I'm gonna need to lube this head up to get it through doorways. I'm gonna need to do more neck exercises if it's gonna be this big from now on. I am so full of myself. I walked up there with like the most confident strut. I looked that guy right in the eye and I go, that's really nice of you to say thank you. By the way, when we're here, is there any place around here we can go to see the penguins? For those of you not laughing, listen up to this next part. Because he didn't miss a beat. He looked at me in the eyes, he goes, that's the South Pole. So that's what I learned in the military. Don't be cocky. Eventually, you'll look stupid. So I did my cargo time. And now I'm a flight instructor, is what they call me, flight instructor down in Del Rio, Texas. Anyone been there on purpose? This is great, isn't it? Yeah, you don't need to go, everybody else. We just got a Chick-fil-A like a couple years ago, and they're like, we're a metropolis. I'm like, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. I'm an instructor on paper, but my job is really, I'm a flight screener. Like, my job is to make sure people that shouldn't be pilots don't become pilots. You're welcome, America. Because there are some people that shouldn't be pilots. I was getting ready to take off with this one kid. We're sitting by the runway, right? One of the busiest airports in the world, people landing, and he's just, right? We're sitting front and back. I can't see what he's doing. Out of nowhere, he goes, holy crap, sir! Well, we're already dead. Because you don't say, holy crap, in an airplane. Even if you looked out the window and saw what could only be described as holy crap. You see a magical turd floating out there with a halo and wings on it. It's got googly eyes, and it's like, howdy-ho. Even then, you're supposed to say, well, that's peculiar. That's what a pilot says. I got my hand on the ejection handle, these rocket seats, and I'm like, what do you see? What do you see? He's like, there is a big old grasshopper in here with us. Maybe this flying thing ain't for you, Twitch. Flying with this other kid, and that one didn't make it through the program, but this one did. He just made a mistake one day. We were flying in formation, 2 airplanes, 10 feet apart. We're getting ready to land on the runway, 150 miles an hour, 10 feet apart, 100 feet off the ground. It didn't look good, so I said, we're gonna go around. Give him the push it up signal. He's like, what, sir? I'm like, give him the push it up signal. He lets go of the controls and goes. I got so mad at him. So I was like, learn your references. This is push it up. This is raise the roof. Come on now. That kid flies for Delta now. Sleep tight. Sleep tight. I'm gonna end my show talking about one of my favorite subjects, love. Who's in love tonight? Clap it up if you're in love. Look at all the people like, why you gotta bring that up, bro? No, listen, I think, I love the long-time couples. Where are my long-time couples at? Anybody long-time? Right there? How long right here? How many? 30. And the man answered, what? She said, we're sitting up front. He's like, let me look at my calendars. I may have to answer some questions. That's good. That's good. Do you remember the first night you went out with him? Yeah. You did? Did you kiss him the first night? He's like, look at me, sir. Well, that's okay. If you kissed the first night, that's fine. I had an older couple sitting up front once, been married 62 years. I said, did you kiss him the first night? She goes, I slept with him. She goes, it was 1948. He said he was going to war the next day. We weren't fighting nobody in 1948. Old guy looks at me, he goes, shh. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. You guys were great, brother. I'm Jose Sarduy. Thank you so much.
Hey, Jose here. If you enjoyed the special, you can leave a tip here at the end. I will use the money for only the production of a new special in the future. Promise.